subjective portion, Brahma, it's a technical language, received the power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the names of Suryakant, etc. So, in our Western culture, we don't know much about Suryakant gems, but I'll tell you a little bit about them. They're sometimes you've seen like crystal chandeliers, and there's bulbs, and not just glass, but crystal. When the glass passes through the crystal, it diffuses the light, and it's very attractive. But that's light that's diffused in different ways. The Suryakant gem, literally, it absorbs the light of the sun. You can hold it in your hand, and it's effulgent like the sun. A little bit of the luminosity or illumination power of the sun is within that gem. So as a gem may hold the light of the sun, the comparison is being made that Brahma receives power from Krishna, like the Suryakant gem receives power from the sun to be luminous. Brahma receives power from the personality of Godhead to regulate the universe, to create it and to regulate it. It says this similarly. There are some places within the Vedic literature, specifically the Puranas, that seem to equate Brahma and Vishnu. And the explanation is, it's like this Suryakant gem in the sun. The luminous feature of the gem and the luminous feature of the sun are the same. One is very tiny, the other is very great. There's oneness in quality, not oneness in quantity. Is it clear? An example that shows the tininess is found in the 10th canto Bhagavatam. One time, Krishna requested Lord Brahma to come visit him in Dwarka. So Brahma was very happy. Fantastic, Krishna was calling me to come see him. So he came. When he reached Dwarka, there was a gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper said, "Excuse me, can you let me know who you are?" "Well, Krishna called me." "Yes, but I think I'd like to let Krishna know that you arrived. Can you identify yourself?" "Yes, tell Krishna that Lord Brahma has come." So the messenger came back and he said, "Krishna wants to know which Lord Brahma." He said, "Well, what do you mean, which Lord Brahma?" "I'm Lord Brahma, the father of the four Kumars and the creator of this universe. That's who I am." And so he said, "Just wait here, I'll be back in a moment." So while he was waiting for the messenger to come back in a moment, he had what this painting shows. He was able to see not only Krishna, but Krishna and all the Brahmas from all the different universes coming at once, bowing their many heads at the lotus feet of Krishna. He could see them all and they could not see him. And they paid their respects, they offered very, very beautiful prayers. Krishna thanked them for coming to see him, and they disappeared. They went back to their abode. So Krishna was finished now, he's receiving all the various Brahmas, and this Brahma from our universe came before him, and Krishna said, "What can I do for you? It's very nice that you've come." And he said, "You've taken care of all my needs." I was very proud, thinking, I'm the creator of the universe. And now my pride is completely gone. Because I understand I'm very insignificant. And you're the source of everything. My heart is fully satisfied. So that's a description of Lord Brahma. Now we have just two more. These are selected verses from Brahma Samhita on the topic, for those who came a little later, on the topic of conceptions of divinity, where he addressed the pantheistic conception we addressed the Lord of the Heart conception, God within nature, God within the heart. Now, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who resides beyond the creation in the spiritual realm. And we're addressing, finally, also, there are some that have this polytheism conception of divinity. And though the powers of those different personalities, controllers of the universes, of this universe, they derive their power from one source. That's what we're doing. Now comes Ganesha. Some of you are very familiar with Ganesha. Here's what Lord Brahma says in relation to Lord Ganesha. Here's the translation. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha, picture there on the right, upon the pair of tumuli. What's a tumuli? Bhaktisiddhanta, his English was not his first language, but his English is better than my English. His vocabulary is amazing, and his use of language is amazing. I had to look the word up, tumuli. Tumuli is a Latin word that is the plural of tumulus. And tumulus, as shown at the bottom, it means to bulge or swell. And a common use of the word tumulus had to do with, in some cultures, when there's a holy man or a village elder, a very respected person, when there's a burial, instead of just putting him in the ground, they make this mound to mark the spot where he was buried. And one of those mounds is called the tumulus. If you have more than one, it's called the tumuli. That's the plural. So on the head of an elephant, there's two bulges, commonly. Two of them make tumuli. So back to the image. The Sanskrit word kumbha, those of you from India, you know what kumbha means. It means pot. Dvandava, there's two. Kumbha dvandve, that's these two tumuli at the top of the elephant's head. So the verse is saying, the lotus feet of Krishna, Govinda, are upon the two bulges in the top of Ganesha's head. And why? In order to obtain the power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. So those of you that are familiar with yajnas or sacrifices, more specifically karma kanda sacrifices, one essential person to invoke is Ganesha, because he removes the obstacles for achieving the purpose of the yajna. So you say the name of the person, you say the name of the devata who is being propitiated, and you say Ganesha's name because he's got to remove the obstacles. But where does Ganesha get the power to remove obstacles? From Govinda. And our acharyas say the form of Govinda that places his lotus feet on the tumuli of Ganesha is Lord Sriniveda. And so when we have our arti ceremony, at the end of the arti ceremony, what do? We sing the Shringa prayers. Why do we sing the Shringa prayers? We sing Nrsimha prayers because in the course of that worship of the deity, there may have been some mistakes, unintentional mistakes. And so, to remove the obstacles that come as a result of seva aparad, or mistakes in worship Lord Nrsimhadev. Nice. So Ganesha removes obstacles in the path of progress of the three worlds, and Lord Nrsimhadev removes obstacles in the path of attaining the spiritual world. The obstacles in the path of bhakti. So that's Brahma Samhita's description of the position of Ganesha. And there's one more and we're done for the evening. This is about the sun. Savika means the sun. And the sun, according to Vedic conception, the earth is moving around the sun, but the sun is also moving around the earth, and there's not a contradiction. And if I had more time, I would explain it. That's Vedic cosmology. Translation reads, the sun, who is the king of all the planets full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. So just to do it quickly. Every 24 hours, the sun, the earth is spinning. And so we see the sun rise in the east and set in the west, and the next day the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And that's a change every 24 hours. But in the course of one solar year, there's a movement of the sun. And for those of us in the northern hemisphere, like in India, the northern hemisphere, there's the time of the year where the days are longest and the nights are shortest. It's called the summer solstice. And then the sun starts moving in a southerly direction where the days and the nights are equal duration, called the equinox. And then it goes down into the southern hemisphere where, for us in the northern hemisphere, the days are shortest and nights are longest. And then it starts moving in a northerly direction. In India, that's called Makara Sankranti, or in Western cosmology, it's winter solstice. And then it starts moving in a northerly direction. So what this verse is saying is the sun is moving under the order of Govinda. Ooh, that's how he moves. Under the order of Govinda, the will, the icha of the Supreme Lord. Here's a description from Bhagavad Gita. The sun exhibits the infinite effulgence due only to the power invested in him by Govinda. You see at the bottom. The splendor of the sun, chapter 15, the splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me, Krishna speaking. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. So conceptions of divinity, Krishna is the source of the sun and under the order of which the sun moves. Two last little things and we're done. There's this nice description in the 10th canto Bhagavatam where outside of Dwarka there was a king named Suryakant, and he was a sun worshipper. And from worshipping the sun every day for hours with offerings and mantras and so forth, one day the sun god appeared before him, gave him this benediction of his well wishes, and gave him this very special Suryakant gem. Remember that word? We mentioned it before. It's a self-effulgent gem. And he said, you worship this gem and two things. 70 pounds of gold every day the gem will produce. That's a lot of gold. 70 pounds of gold. And in addition, you worship the gem nicely, and there'll be no disease, no irregularities of weather, no problems, no material disturbances like that. And so Suryakant was very happy, and he became very proud, and his pride became his downfall. We won't go into the detail. We also hear, aside from Suryakant, that there was a difficulty for the Pandavas when they were in exile. They were still very popular, and people came to see them, but they were out in the forest. They didn't have necessities to provide hospitality for everybody. And so Yudhishthira worshipped the sun god, and the sun god gave him this magic pot, Akshaya Patra pot, and said, you give this to Draupadi, and this magic pot can produce unlimited foodstuffs for as many people as come and pay you a visit. But after Draupadi takes her meal, that's it for the day. So the sun god appears in that place in Mahabharata. So that's a little bit about the sun. Now, in this universe, what's more powerful than the sun? The sun gives life to everything. Where does the sun get its power to give life to everything? From the ultimate source of everything. So this is this topic of conceptions of divinity. And as I said at the very beginning, some of you came in after I began, I'm contemplating making a whole series on, of the world today, in the spiritual marketplace today. When people are out there looking around for spirituality, what do they find? What are the conceptions of divinity that are out there? Buddhism, and what's all that about? And Mayavad philosophy, become one with the Supreme, what's that all about? I'm thinking to give some, like a series on conceptions of divinity, and what's all this big deal about Krishna anyways? Like, why are people so enthusiastic about Krishna as the conception of divinity? Just not necessarily people will accept the conception of Krishna, but just to put things in a context. So that was the intention this evening. Maybe not so well refined, but it's a beginning. So any comments or questions? We're having a little problem with our sound system. I hope it doesn't pop up again. No comments or questions. You're all convinced. Okay, fantastic. Srila Prabhupada ki